Hey guys, welcome to the Saturday class. We're going to start off in a seated position, so let's work our way down to our mat today. We'll be on our knees a little bit, so if you have hardwood floor or anything and you want some knee protection, go ahead and grab a blanket just for a little comfort. Come on. Alright, so let's start off in a cross-legged position. Let's just begin to sway and find some natural movement. And as you do, begin to slow down a little bit. As you sway from side to side, or forward and back, feel how different parts of your core are supporting you as you're shifting stances, leaning forward and back, maybe circling a few times. Beautiful. Finding that inner awareness as you're slowly moving. Going the other way if you're circling, if you haven't already. Now just find a few natural movements. Really listen to that silence inside of your body. It will begin to speak to you, asking you to move in certain ways. Just finding some natural flow. Whatever comes natural, just take a few moments, with your eyes shut, feeling your body, find any natural moves, natural positions that it just finds to be comfortable right now. And as you do, bring the awareness to the breath, letting go of whatever movements are coming. Focusing just on the inhale and the exhale. Feeling how, as you're keeping your awareness in your breath, those movements begin to sync up with those breaths. Begin to flow a little more naturally. Now we've woken up a little bit of intro surfing. Let's come to a nice seated position again. Finding a little bit of stillness. Take a breath to ourselves. Finding some gratuity for making it to our mat today. Now's a good time to set an intention for class if you would like. A mantra or an idea that you'd like to come back to throughout class. As our awareness is on that breath, locking in that mantra or intention. Let's begin to raise our right hand up. Let's point it to the ceiling. And then gently circle it back. Place it right behind us. Let's take a gentle twist to the right, placing the left hand on the knee. Let's lift up, extending the chest up into the ceiling, twisting at the lower part of the back first, letting the shoulders follow, and the head and neck last. And release that twist. We'll do it to the other side. Placing that left hand behind us, right hand to the left knee. Raising the chest to the ceiling. And twisting from the lower back through the shoulders, followed by the neck and the head last. So release that twist. Coming back to center. Let's place both of our hands behind us, fingers pointing away. Let's just raise up, pushing our hips into the ceiling, feeling our shins and tops of the feet being connected to the ground. Coming back to seated. Let's just take a few pulses through that. So let's do the right twist. Let's put our hand back. You can make any natural movements with that arm this time. So if you want to put it up behind you to get a little bit more of a side body stretch, curl it beneath you, whatever you'd like. Just find some natural movement. Wherever your body would like to go today is exactly where it should be. I'm simply here to give you ideas, to lead the poses. Your body is its own teacher, so it will take each pose wherever it knows it wants to go today. Let's take one more pulse through this, twisting to the right. Finding some exploration in that movement, coming out of it, going to the other side, finding that little twist, natural exploration, putting our hands behind us for one more, lift through the pelvis. Really feel those shins pushing into the ground, supporting you, allowing your back to arch, your chest to push into the ceiling. Lowering down. Just beginning to find that breath. One more second here. Beautiful. Let's come up off of our butt today. And let's twist and work our way to the back of our mat in a nice kneeling position. We're going to tuck our toes. We're going to do a plantar fascia stretch here. It's going to stretch the arch. It's going to release that line all the way through the back line, releasing your hams and your back. So let's tuck those toes. And if it's uncomfortable, you don't have to tuck them and push back onto them. You can just keep them tucked and as forward as you'd like. So if we need to be here today, just pulsing back with those toes tucked. If that's all you got today, that's perfectly fine. One day working to sink your hips down onto your heels. Feeling the plantar fascia really releasing. Now let's come up to tabletop, untuck our toes. Let's tap out those tops of the feet. So let go of any of that stretch or tension that we might have built up in that plantar fascia. Beautiful. So now that we're in tabletop, we're going to keep our core nice and tight. We sit here and finding our breath. And as you inhale, just drop that belly down, raising that shoulders up into a cow. As you exhale, arch that back, tucking that head, looking to your belly button for cow, or for cat, my bad. And just take a few pulses, syncing your breath to your movement. From cow, curling to cat. Take one more. Back to neutral spine, flattening that back. And now we're going to take a few crawls. So as we go forward, let's start by crawling with our right knee up and then our hand, and then our left knee with our right hand. And as you move, try to move nice and slow, feeling those leg and arm movements sinking up as you move. And here, the slower we're crawling, it's definitely the better. As you crawl, you can feel your side bodies working with each other in opposite ways. As you're moving, coming to the back of the mat. Do another push back. We're gonna really stretch out that plantar fascia again as we push back. So untuck those toes again. Coming up, we're gonna roll up as we set onto our heels. Breathing. You might find yourself a little close to the middle of the mat and a little behind, but wherever you're at, let's take just a little crawl forward so we can get to the middle of our mat. From here, let's tuck our pelvis in as we roll up nice and slowly. So let's begin to tuck our pelvis, feeling ourselves rolling up. And once you're here, we're going to do a modified half camel. So we're not going to a full camel. We're not going to try to touch those heels yet. We're just going to start warming up that back line, allowing us to go into some nice back bends today. So let's start with the right side. So let's place the left hand on our left hip. Let's take that right hand, let's lift it all the way up, and then circle it behind you. It's okay if you graze that heel, but that's not the goal. I'm not touching my heel yet either. And that's perfectly okay. Just waking that back line up. You can switch arms after this next circle. Bring it right up, putting on the lower part of our back. Circling the left hand this time. We're gonna raise it. Really raise your chest up, keeping your tops of the feet planted. Arching your back as you go. Letting your hand naturally glide into another circle. With the awareness on the breath. Letting it be your guide here. Feeling that breath lead those movements. Let's come back up from here. And let's go into a nice little child's pose to release any tension that might have built up in that back. And as you sit here, work to bring your awareness down into your chest. Finding that heart center in this child's pose. Your hands can be extended above you or down beneath you for a little more relaxed position, whatever you'd like right now. Just coming into that breath. Beautiful. From here, let's begin to roll up, pushing into a tabletop again. And let's do a few crawls. Wherever you're at, it's okay to start wherever you're at, just taking a few paces, working your way to the back of the mat, back to the front, really working opposite arm and leg movements here. Feeling that connection from those fingertips, moving all the way, feeling it connected to the toes on the opposite side. Let's work that crawl back into the middle of our mat. Coming into a tabletop. And now from here, we're gonna do a little bit of a different cat-cow. So let's take a little step forward with just our hands. Into almost like a modified plank, just not quite as deep. You can have your toes resting towards each other, but maybe not touching. And then with a nice flat back, we're gonna go into exalted cow, inhaling. Exhaling, curling that spine into extended cat. Taking a few pulses here through exalted cow and extended cat. Taking one more pulse. On the exhale, and that cat, as you inhale, let's flatten that back, walking our way back into a natural, neutral tabletop. Let's tuck our toes again. Let's do a little plantar fascia stretch. Let's push back here, sink down, letting the tops of or bottoms of those feet open up. You don't want any pain or too much discomfort. A little bit of discomfort is definitely good. Brings awareness there, allows you to breathe into it. And exhale that tension that you're holding in it with that breath. Let's come up, untuck those toes. Let's tap a few more times. Releasing those feet. And push back, sitting on our heels. Rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Beautiful. Push up, rolling again. Coming into a kneeling position. For camel, we're going to do one more half camel. So our knees are going to be about shoulder width a distance apart. Our big toes are going to be pointed towards each other, but maybe not touching again. So for this one, we're not going to worry too much about touching our heels again, but if you do, that's perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and begin by placing our left hand on our left hip. Inhaling, raising that hand. Exhaling, circling back. Grazing that foot if you can. If not, that's okay too. Just staying supported. As you stay supported, the rest of your body will be able to stay healthy. And nothing else will be able to get hurt inside of your practice. Let's switch hands. As long as you move with awareness. Let your breath be your guide. One more circle here. Not letting your lower back pinch, really feeling the support through the core. As you bring that hand up. Coming back to a neutral position. Pushing back into child's pose. Leaning over, letting go of any tension that you might have built up on your back just there. Take any natural sways or movements. And from here, we're going to tuck our toes like we were about to do a plantar fascia stretch again, but instead we're going to widen our knees just a little bit to the outsides of our mats. Our feet just slightly in from there. We're going to push back into a malasana or yogi squat. So from here, you're going to push back, rolling up onto your feet, sinking your hips, coming up, and just pausing for a moment. Pushing those hips up into a forward fold. Let yourself hang over those legs. I'll turn back to the side here so you can see me. As you're hanging, just breathe. Coming back to that breath, finding that attention that you said at the beginning of class. Swaying in your forward fold, wagging your tail, letting go of any tension of that lower back. Letting your chest rest on your thighs. All right, let's put a little bit of tone inside of our core and legs. Finding a little bit of elongation as we push our hips up, extending our spine, dropping our fingers, do a little twist. So let's place our left hand down, extend the right above us as we twist, and then take a wrap if you would like. Just breathing as you go. Coming back down. Switching hands, this time bending the right leg, extending the left, twisting, looking past those left fingertips, wrapping that hand if you would like, or holding it above and looking past those fingertips, flowing naturally as your breath flows. From here, let's just sway a few times. I really like this forward fold. Put a little bit of pressure on our back from those camels, so let's let that go as we sway. All right, from here, let's walk our feet together for some sun salutations. So from your forward fold, extend your back, bring your hands to your shins. Exhaling, dropping down into a forward fold again. Inhaling, raising your hands above your head. Feeling the energy rise above you, feeling grateful for your practice. Bringing your hands together. And then exhaling, forward fold. Let's skip the back bend for the first one. Do another one here. Inhaling, halfway, extending that back. Lowering to forward fold. Rising up, nice and strong. Extending those hands above us. Going to a nice back bend here. Maybe not all the way. Coming back out of it. As you go to that back bend, make sure your back's not compressed by extending that chest up as you roll your back behind you, pushing your hips forward. Breathing, coming back to center. Going down for one more sun salutation. I think this one the best one yet. We'll rise up on the inhale halfway. Feel the support through the core as we pause here for just a second to breathe. Feeling the head pushing forward, the crown extending to the wall in front of us. Coming down to that forward fold. Letting your body hang for just a moment. And raising up. Extending those hands above us. Bringing our hands together. Drop our head. Raising our chest to the ceiling, pushing up. Supporting ourselves through the front core. Going into a back bend. Extending the hips. Breathing. Coming out of it. Exhale, forward fold. When you get here, just do some just random movements, letting your body flow, wagging your tail, moving your knees back and forth, going up and down maybe, just releasing any tension. Let's bring our hands to the front of our mat as we walk them forward. Coming into a plank position, let's put our feet behind us. Do a chaturanga flow. So we're going to drop down halfway. Elbows behind us, tucked in. Untuck your toes. Coming up into an up dog or a cobra, whatever your practice is today. Curling those toes, coming back to a dog. Let's extend that right foot above us. And then exhale, bringing it nice and gently between our hands. We're going to adjust our pose here. We're going to walk that foot in front, out, and on the outsides of our hands for lizard pose. You can drop down to that back knee if you would like, or you can keep it up. Whatever your practice is today, listen to it. When you're here, really feel that back, keep some tension and feel that back heel extending to the floor. Feeling your chest being supported by extending forward. And then let's drop that back heel as we rotate on the ball of our back foot. Coming up to extended side angle. Let's push into that front heel, rising up into warrior two. Flip the front palm. Let's extend past our toes, making sure that weight stays in that front heel and not the toes to keep pressure out of the knee. Extending back. Place your hand on the thigh if you need some support, on your hip for some support, or keep it behind you. looking past those fingertips. This is a side body stretch, not a back bend. So you want to feel it in your side body. Coming back to warrior two. Coming to the side angle once more. And just take a few pulses through here. Through side angle. Warrior two. Then reverse your warrior. Coming back to that side angle. Pop up on that back foot. Coming into a lunge. Let's just pulse a few times here. Flossing that front ankle forward and back. Let's take a step forward with that back foot. Into pyramid pose. So you'll have a smaller stance than the warrior poses, but you're still going to have both feet pushed forward, that back foot angled 45 degrees to that top corner. And you're just going to do a nice fold. Keep a bend in that front knee as you're folding. And rise up, pushing to that front heel, extending the hands above us. Going into a gentle back bend, nothing deep. Feeling how you have to have balance before you're able to flow back. Coming into triangle pose. Let's put our hands framing the foot. Stepping back into plank. Take it through a chaturanga flow. Dropping down, untucking. Breathing as you flow. Meeting me in downward dog. Do the other side here. So we'll extend the left foot. Bringing it gently between the hands. Walking it out for lizard. So I'll be faced away from this one for you guys for a little bit. So just try to remember the last flow will be the exact same, just on the opposite side. So from lizard, you can drop down if you'd like, or stay up. Whatever's comfortable today. Just feeling your hips sinking to the ground with them squared forward. All right, let's untuck our back toes if they're not already. Coming back up. Let's pivot on that ball of the foot. Coming into the reverse, or into the side angle. So I'm going to twist here. Feeling your spine elongate. The crown of the head pushing to the front wall. Coming up, pushing to the front heel. Keeping weight out of the knee. Rotating the palm up into reverse warrior. Coming back into warrior two. Going to extended side angle once more. You're here, you can pause, look past the top fingertips. Pushing into that heel. Coming into the warrior two. Reverse that warrior. And pause, maybe sinking a little more, maybe staying where you're at. Coming out of it. Extending forward, pivoting up on that foot, walking it in some. This is pyramid pose once more on the left side. So the front knee can have a nice slight bend in it, so we can roll your back forward over that leg. And you can extend up by gripping the front of the mat, pushing into the heel, extending upwards, raising our hands up. Going into a nice gentle back bend on this side, feeling that balance. And then the opening of your hip on the right side. Coming back. Extending, rolling down, framing that foot, stepping back. Take it through another flow. Meeting in downward dog. Let's drop to child's pose, dropping those knees to the mat. Letting yourself sink. Dropping the chest to the mat. Feeling your forehead rest. Finding that breath again. You sit here in child's pose. Remember that intention that you set at the beginning of class. Come back to it. Breathe into it. Let everything go that's off the four corners of your mat right now. In resting poses like here, as we find our breath, thoughts like to come up more often than as we're moving. Just know that's okay. Take them with compassion, take them with kindness. Acknowledge them, and then let them go. Don't hold on to them. All right, from child's pose, let's push up into tabletop. All right, it's all downhill from here, guys. So nothing too crazy from now on. Let's turn to the side of our mat, coming into frog pose. Knees wider than the hips, feet wider than the knees. You want a neutral back, so if you're arching your back one way or the other, come out of it a little bit. Bring those knees a little more together. It's okay not to go as deep into it as long as you're being supported. Then drop those elbows down. Pushing back. Just taking a few pulses and breathing. Bring some awareness into your pelvis and lower back and see if they're a nice balanced state. If they're curving a little bit. If they're arching. Try to maybe straighten them back out, bring them back to neutral. As you pulse. And breathe. And finding a moment to pause. And wherever is comfortable. Come out of this, we're going to push up a little bit, bringing our feet together first, pushing back onto our heels, using our hands to walk up. Let's turn to back to the short edge of our mat. We're going to do a tortoise pose today. So our feet are going to be in front of us instead of sitting on them like a half tortoise. So for a full tortoise, our feet are come together, like almost like we're doing a Baddha or butterfly pose, but have them a little forward. A little more forward, not quite as into your hip area. Let's bring our feet up, palms facing up. We're going to reach under our legs, letting ourselves fold forward, not pulling. You can stop wherever you'd like. You can stop here, or you can go a little further, feeling yourself leaning over, face into the feet. Feeling your chest and belly push into the mat. Feeling your back and spine elongate to keep it flat. With your gaze looking right in between your arches, or maybe even at your toes. Breathing. And then releasing to come out of this. Go over those hips, raise those knees up, untuck those arms. Beautiful. Extend those feet in front of us. Let's do a forward fold here. So my forward fold is a little different than normal. We're not going to go quite as deep. We're going to kind of look like an octopus. So let's start with some nice deep bends in our knees. And then let yourself roll over. Let your arms extend in front of you. And then pull back by pushing into those heels, extending those legs, rolling up, feeling those octopus arms swaying out, pull those heels in, bending those knees, wrapping those tentacles around your feet. And then extending, never wanting to find a spot where we're pulling. So as you're flowing through this forward fold in a seated position, when your hands get to your feet and you go to extend, it's okay to hold your hands there. But as you extend, once you start feeling pulling in the back, tension in the back, let go, don't hold on to that anymore. Let yourself roll up, pushing into the heels, pulling them as you're folding forward one more time. Make this your best one yet. Finding a moment of pause, a moment of silence and stillness in this pose. Pushing into the heel, rolling back up. Swivel our feet, coming into seated position on our heels, or kneeling position on our heels. We're going to camel pose next, the full camel, which we were warming up for earlier in practice. So let's come up to tabletop, and let's roll gently, tucking our pelvis, coming into kneeling. All right, for full camel, knees are gonna be shoulder width distance apart, feet a little closer in. Both hands are gonna start at the lower back. And at no point do you feel like you should have to touch the toes or your heels here. Your hands can always remain on the lower back for support. That's perfectly acceptable. But whenever you're ready, let's extend our chest up into the ceiling, gaze going back. You want to feel your core here engaging to lengthen that spine from the front and back. And let yourself curve. Dropping your hands to your heels if you would like, or staying here. Letting your back arch. Extend your hips up and forward. Almost like you're pushing them into the opposite corner of the ceiling. Coming back. Replacing one hand at a time on the lower back, and then the other. Coming out of this. Push back into a child's pose here. Rolling forward. I'm going to do a rabbit pose. So it's the counter pose to camel here. So let's bring our quads together. Our knees and shins parallel. Your big toes are going to touch, resting on the ground behind you, feet flat. Grab your heels, and then try to bring your forehead in between your knees. You're touching your legs, and then raise your hips. And as you raise your hips, work to keep the head in contact with those knees. Bring that back arch and round. As your hips push up into rabbit. Releasing, coming out of it, coming back into child's pose. Just breathing here for just a few moments. Finding gratitude in the movement that we've done tonight. The strength that we've built. And the awareness that we've cultivated. Let's come out of this. Let's roll up to a seated kneeling position. Let's drop our right hand down. Going over, let's swivel our legs out to the left here. Bringing them in front. We'll start with both legs in front of us. It's a staff pose. We're not going to lean forward here. Just going to find natural seated position. Feet together, legs together, hips rooting into the ground, heels rooting into the ground. And then just breathe for a moment. Finding that center. Coming back to the intention at the beginning of class. Beautiful. Let's track this left foot inwards, bringing it into our hip area, making sure that both sides of our pelvis are nice and planted. If one's up, adjust your hips here to make sure that they're nice and firm in the ground. Let's raise our hands above our head, twist towards that foot, and lean over it. Letting yourself rest. Having a nice soft bend in that knee if you'd like. Helps us roll over. Allows for any tension in the back quad to be released. And allows that back line to truly open up. So that way your quads, your hamstrings, and your lower back all loosen up some. Let's come out of this, push into that heel, rolling up. Switch legs. Pausing in the middle at staff pose, finding that grounded, relaxed position with those both heels and both hips pushing into the ground. Taking a breath before we move to the other side. Exhaling, bring that right foot in this time. Have a natural little shift. I'll be facing a little bit away from you for a second, but it's just like the other side. So root both those hips into the ground. Extend the hands above your head. Gently twist left to that foot. Soft bend in the knee, and then roll over that leg. Relax here, breathing into this pose. Try to keep your elbows in towards the shin. One day working to bend down. Pushing into that heel, releasing that foot, coming up. Extending that the right leg. Pausing on staff pose for just one moment. Feeling maybe a little more expanded, a little more vast on the inside than at the beginning of class. Feeling that breath flow naturally in and out. Maybe feeling a little more revitalized, a little more awake and alert. Let's push forward a little bit, bending our knees. Come into Shavasana. You can work your way down, laying down. Shavasana is one of the most important poses of practice. It calms the mind and calms the body. Shavasana directly translates to corpse pose. That's because all the muscles in the physical body should be like a corpse. Should be unmoving. The muscles shouldn't be holding on to anything. Almost as if you're in a state of sleep, without being quiet there. Feeling yourself rest, staying present and aware. Feeling the work that your body has just done. Feeling yourself being grounded and supported by the floor beneath you. I like to take 5 to 10 minutes for Shavasana. And those times, as long as you take. Feel free to sit down as long as you like. My next yoga class will be Tuesday evening. So if y'all would like to join me, it'll be at 7 o'clock. And I also do morning meditation starting at 7 a.m. for 15 minutes to start the days out throughout the week, Monday through Friday. Thank you all so much for joining me with practice today, and I can't wait to see you till next time. Namaste, guys.